Hello guys, and thank you so much for joining me. My name is Eric Maguaro. Now the show on air is MDH Talk Show. MDH, like we've been saying from the previous episodes, MDH stands for Matters Dealing with the Hearts. On this episode, or on this show rather, we discuss anything that has to do with relationships and love. But today I want us to change gears a little bit and talk about counsels for courtship, especially because there's so many marriages are having a lot of problems out there, and we want to see what we can do to at least try and help out as much as we can. So today I'm joined here with a very important guest. His name is actually, let me just go ahead and give him the opportunity to introduce himself so that we can continue.
All right, thank you. Hello viewers and friends out there. I would want first to appreciate my friend here for inviting me over. I would want to say that I'm really very happy to be here and share with you. My name is Dennis Mauti is my name, and I'm really happy to join and talk about matters dealing with the heart, as my friend has rightly put it. We would want to say from the very onset that we are not experts in these issues, but we are just your brothers in the struggle to understand what we are supposed to do. So welcome, and we believe that you're going to be, besides enjoying, you're going to be informed, and even as you're going to make decisions on matters dealing with the heart, you make the correct decisions so that in future you may not live to regret. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much, my brother. You've said something very important, that we are not experts, okay? We are only trying as much as we can to share with you a few stuff that we have learned, either by reading, most of these spiritual books, and also stuff that we have experienced in our own lives. Probably you are married, so you will probably have to share a few stuff that you've learned in your marriage. Yeah. So we want us to talk about counsels because why I want us to talk about counsels, or I should say, in layman's language, will be things that you consider before you get into marriage. Because a lot of marriages are not working out there because people are just rushing into them without really understanding what they are about. And then once they get there, they figure out it's not what they were expecting, and because of that it doesn't work. So I want us to try and share as much as we can to help them so that we can try and minimize a little bit of that. So somebody said a wise man learns from his own mistakes. A smart man waits for the wise man to make the mistakes so that you can learn from them. So my question will be, who will you rather be? Do you want to be the wise man that learns from his own mistakes, or do you want to be the smart man that waits for the wise man to make the mistakes so they can learn? Now, why I'm saying this is because most of these things, like we said, we're not experts, okay? There are, especially for me, I will say, there are the mistakes that I've made in my life, but the thing is that I see people making these same mistakes out here, and I wish that I could, try and talk to them so that they can avoid them. Because really, I mean, people say, yeah, that was you. If it happened to you, that was you. You're gonna be different for me because that is me. But really, there's no new thing under the sun,
Absolutely, nothing is new under the sun.
So I want to read a statement here, an admonition from the spiritual prophecy. Hopefully, this helps us a lot. If those who are contemplating marriage will not have miserable and happy reflections after marriage, they must make it a subject of serious and earnest reflection now. This step, taken unwisely, is one of the most effective means of ruining the usefulness of young men and women. Life becomes a burden, a curse. No one can so effectually ruin a woman's happiness and usefulness and make it a life heart-sickening burden as our own husband. That's really deep, my brother. And then it says, and no one can do 100 parts as much to chill the hopes and aspirations of a man and to paralyze his energies and ruin his influence and prospects as his own life. In other words, this person that you are getting yourself engaged into or marrying, this person knows the right words to say to bring you to your mood, and the exact words to say to provoke you to anger. Yeah. So they know exactly, and that's why, brother, I believe that we need to take this marriage thing very seriously. I really long for the days when our pastors used to sit us down before we get married, and they do some counseling for us. What happened with that? Why are we not doing that?
That what I'm agreeing with what you're saying.
Yeah.
We fail to understand that marriage is just like a building.
Yeah.
And you cannot build without first, having a plan, collecting the materials.
Exactly.
And looking for the right, what you want.
Counting the cost too.
You count the cost. You even look at a place where to build.
Exactly.
Before you even start building. We have young men and women who just see beautiful houses. In this sense, I'm talking about beautiful marriages.
Yes.
And they just think that those houses just drop from the sky.
Heaven.
They know that it is a hard work.
Yes.
One of the most important aspects of a building is a foundation.
Exactly.
And the foundation is rarely seen.
Yes.
You cannot see it.
Yes.
So this idea of courtship was important because it laid the foundation.
Exactly.
And now, because once you go into marriage, you will not be able to see the importance of that. It will not come out clear, just like a foundation of a house. But it was important. But we're having young men and women these days who feel like, we are living in the world of the era of globalization, where we get to know so many issues.
Yes.
So they feel that they don't need to sit and have time to learn and know each other. And that is why we are having so many problems when it comes to marriage later on. So I think, as you said, that important aspect of courtship is skipped. And marriage being a permanent change, sometimes when you skip one very important aspect, you may not have time to go back and correct that. So I'm agreeing with you that we should not learn from experience. Rather, if we must learn from experience, then let it be experience of other people.
Yes, something. I mean, because I see people making mistakes, but you see. They say, that was you, your case is different, but it's probably the same.
Yeah, I'm different, I'm going to do it correct.
No, it's all the same, everything is still the same. So, for most youths out there, they believe that marriage is a bed of roses, or rather is a contract, because right now I can tell you that there are so many divorce cases out there. And where, like I will say rather in the United States, marriage, people don't take marriage seriously. They say, okay, I'm going to get married to you, but if things don't work out there, if things don't work later, say at a later date, we can just go ahead
I can move out
anytime, right? But marriage is really a lifetime commitment, And if there was, I want to read another statement here. If there is a subject that should be considered with calm reason and an impassioned judgment, it is the subject of marriage. If ever the Bible is needed as a counselor, it is before taking a step that binds persons together for life. But the prevailing sentiment is that feelings, we are going to talk about feelings, are to be the guide. And in so many cases, love-seeking sentimentalism takes control and guides to certain ruin. It is here that the youth show less intelligence than on any other subject. It is here that they refuse to be reasoned with. The question of marriage seems to have a bewitching power over them. They do not submit themselves to God. Their senses are enchanted, and they move forward in secretiveness, as if in fearful that their plans will be interfered with.
Let me just add some stuff to what you've said.
Yes.
One of the qualities, or rather, let me put it this way: one of the attributes of God is that He's an eternal God. And there is something that people really don't connect within that aspect of God being eternal and marriage. God being eternal desires that the things He brings into existence be eternal.
Exactly.
Because God has this status of doing things and putting them as lessons for us to learn about His character. So He wishes that if we go to marriage, we first understand that it is a lifetime commitment, just as you put it. It is not something that you say, let me try, if it doesn't work, I move out. And another thing that I will add there is marriage. So some writer was saying that marriage never had its origin in the hearts of men. It is exclusively let me repeat that word. I don't know where it came from. It is exclusively God's idea.
Exactly.
He is the one who conceived it.
Exactly.
You know.
Yes.
So if we want to know how to succeed in it,
What are the manual?
we will conceive. We will. How do people say? We will consult Him.
Exactly.
And we have the good book.
Exactly.
One of the best literature you can find around the Bible that gives us instructions on how we can be able to survive. So we are having people who say, you know, I'll use the media, you know, I'll use marriages of stars, popular people to, you know how to found my marriage. That one will fail. It will fail.
It will fail for this reason. What they forget is that those people that, you know, we look up to, they only show us what we want. Or rather, what they want us to see. Right? So and those are actors actually. You know, actors have two lives. There's a life that's
the real one,
and there is one that is before the camera. So
Absolutely.
before the camera, like right now, we are all dressed nicely, right?
But sometimes maybe if you find us away from the camera,
exactly, we are not like that.
Yeah.
So, and actually, I will say that's one of the things that has contributed to most divorces out there, because people see marriage as something that, or rather love as something that you get. You know, I can't wait to get married so that my wife can be cooking for me every day,
washing
clothes for me. You know, I can't wait to get married so that my husband can be opening car doors for me. All those are things that they see on TV, right? And they are excited, and so that to them points a picture of marriage.
They think
that's
think marriage is just what
they are seeing, right? That's what marriage is.
It's more than that.
It's more than that. It's more than that. And this idea of courtship, we need to understand really why courtship is important, because I'm going to read a statement here where the Spirit of Prophecy says that you'd rather break an engagement than break a marriage. That's really
you better read that thing.
Let me read it correctly.
Emphasize.
Exactly.
I think it's important.
But even if an engagement has been entered into without a full understanding of the character of the one with whom you intend to unite, do not think that the engagement makes it a possibility, a positive necessity for you to take upon yourself the marriage vow and link yourself to life, or for life, to one whom you cannot love and respect. Be very careful how you enter into conditional engagements, but better, far much better, break the engagement before marriage than separate afterward, as some men do.
You embarrass God.
You embarrass God
when you break a marriage.
Exactly.
He would be very, very happy if you break. And let me pause here and say this.
Yeah.
You know, we tend to see life from this perspective.
Yeah.
I know this. Somebody would say, I know this thing is not working for me. I can feel it. But what will my friends say if I break 3 engagements in a row? They will say something is wrong with me.
Yeah.
It better be wrong according to their assessment, but not with the assessment of God.
Exactly.
God is happy if you can break as many engagements as possible. And once you get into marriage now, you stay there until death do you part. Yeah. So I think that is what many people are missing. And you know, we cannot found our engagements, our love issues and marriage on what people say.
Exactly.
You know, people didn't, as I said, people didn't come up with the idea of marriage. Yeah. Our idea of what marriage should be is different from the idea that God has about marriage. So if God says that it's better to break an engagement, believe Him.
Believe Him.
You better believe Him.
Let's talk about red flags in a relationship, or rather in courtship. Because what I believe, actually, we didn't get to define what courtship is. Courtship, for me, if you ask me to define it, I'll say it's the period in which just before you get married, that you decide, or you take time to look at either the character or just all the aspects of, let's say, the one that you want to get married into, and decide if they are good for you for life or not. Right? Now, during this period of courtship, a lot of people, there are what we call red flags. Something that you see that may not work with you in future.
Red signs.
But you're like, you know what? Let me just. It might be different probably once we get married.
Things will change.
Yeah, things are going to. What do you have to say about that? Things really change?
Things don't change like that. Being a good, I would say, being a love of the Bible says that can an Ethiopian
Change
change
his skin.
his skin, or can a leopard change the spots
Yeah.
of the skin, and how we all know it's hard, you know. So there are some things that you cannot change. They are beyond us.
Yeah.
They are beyond us, and that's why sometimes God says, when you see this, this is a sign that it will not work.
It will not work.
So you better leave it at that point, instead of being entangled so much in something to a point where it will become very difficult for you to leave it. So let's not take things for granted that it will change. It's not your work to change things. Things don't change like that. Yeah.
So in other words, we are saying that if you're in a relationship and you see something in your partner that you know very well that you can't deal with probably in the future, okay? Please just go ahead and break that engagement, because I can tell you right now, and take my word for it, things will not change. If someone, if they are doing that or behaving like that during a courtship, imagine what they'll do once you get married.
Once they have the security.
Once they have the security, you know, exactly. So I want to read something very important here that most of us don't really pay attention to, especially the youth. Love is not something that you give, it's something that you get. And that's what I say. And love also is a principle, but we're coming to that. Now, boys and girls enter upon the marriage relation with unripe love, immature judgment, without noble, elevated feelings, and take upon themselves the marriage vows, wholly led by their boyish, girlish passions. I love you so much.
You know, I miss
I can't
you.
sleep when I think about you.
When I think about you, I don't sleep. I mean, is that person a nightmare?
I can't breathe without you.
As if he's the nose or the lungs.
But then she continues.
Those are boyish and girly.
Exactly.
Okay, they are good.
They are good.
In a spur of a moment. But you know, marriage life is more than just that.
So she continues to say that after their judgment has become more matured, they view themselves bound to life. I mean, bound for life to each other, and perhaps not at all calculated to make each other happy. Then, instead of making the best of their lot, recriminations take place, the breach widens until there is settled indifference and neglect of each other. To them, there is nothing sacred in the home, in the word home. The very atmosphere is poisoned by unloving words and bitter reproaches. So you see, they are led, and you know, okay, but I'm really concerned about what happens after that. She continues to say that in many cases, it takes only a few months for husband and wife to realize that their dispositions can never blend. And the result is that discord prevails in the home where only love and harmony of heaven should exist. By contention over trivial matters, a bitter spirit is cultivated. Upon disagreements and bickering bring inexpressible misery into the home and drive asunder those who should be united in bonds of love. Thus, thousands have sacrificed themselves, soul and body, by unwise marriages and have gone down into the path of perdition.
Imagine being in a marriage where you are not happy.
You're not happy.
In a marriage where you look at it as a prison. Let me say, adding to what you're saying, my brother there, and this should go out to our friends who are just watching us. People say that marriage is a prison. It is not. It is not. It depends which path did you approach it from. If you approached it from the path that you've read there, it will definitely be a prison for you. Because while you are saying it's a prison, somebody is celebrating a marriage somewhere. A neighbor is saying marriage is the best thing that has ever happened to me. So it's about the approach.
Marriage is what you make it.
It's how you make it. You know, marriage is not something that is there ready-made for you to, you know, just like these clothes where you go and it's something that you make, following the principles that are laid down by the initiator of marriage and other good literature. You know, people have experiences, first-hand and experiences of other people. So let's not be in the position where we get to demonize marriage because it is not working on your part. It is working on somebody's part.
And so most definitely, if it's working for someone else, it can work.
It can work for you.
Exactly. Let's take a short break here and then come back and share just a few, counsels on courtship just before you get into marriage. And we're coming back. Don't leave. Hello guys, and welcome back. I hope that you're still watching, because now we are I want us now to discuss the specific counsels that we think that you should consider before you get you start joining yourself to somebody that you want to spend the rest of your life with. Now, for me, if you ask me, what I'll first say is that you need to before you get to sit with somebody, or before you get married to somebody, you need to ask yourself a lot of questions. What is it that has attracted you to this other person? And most of the youth that you ask out here, they'll tell you, well, she's beautiful, he's funny,
she has a good spine.
Exactly, he's rich, he's romantic, and all those, if you realize that they are all outward appearances,
external,
yeah. Then I ask you the second question. Now, what if tomorrow you wake up and find out that one thing that attracted you to this other person is not there? What happens then? Now, if I ask somebody that question and they take time to think about their answer, then obviously they're not ready for marriage. Because, like I said, marriage surpasses external stuff. You can't say that, okay, I'm gonna get married to him because it's funny, right? What
if you wake up one day and the guy is not funny anymore? Are you going to pack your things and...
He was probably funny because he was trying to, to woo you. So, then marriage is not a bed of roses. So you need to think, before you get married, you need to sit down and think about the marriage, think about the life that you're going to spend with, take time to think about that and really, contemplate on it just before you get into it. I had somebody, a couple talking, and the lady was asking the man, you no longer take me out, and do the stuff that you used to do for me before we got married. Then the guy was like, well, have you ever seen a presidential candidate campaigning after winning
the elections? That's hilarious.
And I feel that's where men get it wrong. That's where people get it wrong, right? It doesn't mean that now, okay, I'm going to try and woo her, okay? And then after that, once I get her to myself, well, I'm just, now I have her,
I raise my hands, right? I surrender.
Marriage is like, I believe love or marriage, let me say marriage and love should be like, it's like a fireplace, right? If you let that fire to continue burning, it will go off, okay? So what you need to do is you need to keep adding more exactly.
More coal.
Exactly. So you need to put more effort into your marriage
to ensure that the fire
is burning, that love is burning.
Maybe to add to what my friend is saying, and I want to look at our viewers in the eye and tell them this, is that you viewer who is listening and watching to this, ask the right questions.
Exactly.
That is why it's called courtship. In court, a lawyer will ask serious questions so that this lawyer will win the case for his or her client.
Yeah.
You have a client here, and you are just you're not asking the correct questions.
Yes.
Like some marriage counselor said that don't marry somebody because you had compassion on that person. Maybe a guy you like has lost a parent, and you are like, wow, I feel it for him. I feel it for him. Marriage is not founded on feelings.
Exactly.
What if this compassion goes?
Exactly.
And you are settled in marriage.
Exactly.
So that's what we are saying. Ask the correct questions.
Yes.
This thing that is attracting me to this person that I want to be engaged or I want to get married to. What if I wake up one day and it's not there, it has gone? Will I still stick to this person?
Exactly.
So that is why we need more to concentrate on inward things which are eternal than outwards which are just passing like the wind.
Exactly.
So that because marriage is, as we said, everlasting. So we should also look at things that are everlasting so that they attract you too. And it's easy to know them, by the way. Although people say, how will I know? Unless you two are not serious.
Exactly.
But
and that's what we said. This period of courtship is a long time. Well, we don't want to specify how long that should take. But just before you get into it, just make sure you know this person well enough, to want to unite
well enough.
Exactly. To want to unite yourself with them in a long-term relationship.
Absolutely.
A lot of people pretend a lot before they get into marriage.
That is the elephant in the room.
That's the elephant in the room, right? So because the thing with pretending is you can't pretend forever.
It will end.
A time is coming when you want to be yourself.
The real you.
Exactly. What happens then? Because especially for our ladies, most ladies out there, they say probably they are running out of time, so they are trying to look for a
My
guy.
age mates are getting married, they're getting children.
Exactly. So they want to, there's this guy that is probably trying to talk to them, but he's not exactly what they want. So they're like, okay, probably this guy likes chat so much, so I'm just gonna, he asked me out. The next time I go to chat with him, he's going to think that I'm in there with it, but so my advice will be, if you don't like something, don't pretend to like it just because you can
you want to get the other person to move to your mind. So I think maybe to add to what you're saying, it is straight. Don't pretend. Don't pretend. And if by being yourself it scares that other person away, that is exactly what God intends to happen. Because you would not want to get tied to a person whom later on you realize, like, this is not the guy I thought he was, or she was. So be yourself, because they say that if you pretend, you are on your way to establishing a fake marriage that is not authentic. So be yourself. Let that person know that this one does not like this one likes this, so that you give them a choice to choose. Do I still want to go with this person, or should I move on and look for a different? So be yourself. Don't pretend.
In other words, we're saying, be who you are, and let who you are attract the right people to you. Don't pretend to make somebody like you or love you. Okay? Because like we said, you can't pretend forever. A time is coming when you don't. Let's talk about music. This other guy likes listening to this specific type of music, but you don't like that type of music.
Because you want to make him happy.
You want to make him happy. You're like, yeah, I think that's
good music
too, right? A time is coming when you are at home and you're like, yeah, I think I want to listen to my music today. But the other person will play, I thought he didn't like that. So all that stuff brings a lot of. So we are saying that be who you are, and let who you are attract the right people to you. You don't have to pretend.
But maybe before we go to the next point, I would want to say this, that people think that marriage is the success of marriage depends on very big things that you do. No. It's far be it from the truth. Marriage is, the success of marriage depends on the small things we do and how we do them. Like you get a couple in marriage, they are not speaking to each other for a week simply because somebody switched off the kind of music the other party was listening to.
Exactly.
If you're called to give in counsel, you're like, guys, why are you not speaking to each other? You switched off the music I was listening to. So small things.
Small things.
So let these small things come out when you're courting. So that this person will know, oh, this one it gets irritated when I do this. So that you get to understand exactly the same. Not necessarily so that you break the engagement, but to know the person you're dealing with.
So that
because some people think that when we are saying don't pretend, it's like if the person is real and you realize you're not working out, you leave it. Right? It's also good to know.
Address those topics or those points that
absolutely.
Yeah. So let's move to the next one. A lot of people are dating. Allow me to use the word for fun. Okay? But please, let me just say this very clearly. If you are not ready for marriage, please, there's no need for you to date.
Leave it.
There's really no need for you
to
date. Right? Because then why else are you dating? For fun? Well, are you really gonna use somebody's heart for fun? Or if you have
a field,
like a playing ground, right? Because love is something that, especially for the ladies, they take that very seriously. Right? So if you are telling somebody that I like you, or rather I love you, and you're just doing that,
you don't mean it. You don't mean it.
You don't mean it, right? So please, we are saying this: if you're not ready, or if you don't see a future with somebody's daughter or son, Please, just let it go.
You have just reminded me of a line I saw somewhere saying that if you have, I think I should say this while they're looking at me.
Yeah.
If you have nothing to do, don't do it in somebody's heart.
Please don't.
Just
don't.
Exactly. Leave it. Because, you know, a heart, when somebody gives you his or her affections, time and all that, they invest. They believe, I want to work something out of this relationship.
Yes.
But when you find that the other guy is not serious, where the other guy is, where somebody was saying, if you really think it's not going to work, be straight. Tell the other guy, you know what, my friend, I know, thank you for your good intentions, they're good and I like them, but you know, I'm not ready for that at the moment, because dating is for a purpose. You cannot date if you don't have a purpose, have a goal.
Well, let's look at something else. You know, and this is, I can't stress this enough. Please make sure you get somebody that you are compatible with.
Compatibility.
There's that compatibility.
That word.
It's really important. Please, if you are a missionary, don't marry a politician.
So that when he's politicking, you are in the missionary mood.
Exactly. It's really important. It's extremely important to find somebody that you are compatible with. Exactly. Now, that is important because you are going to stay together. Let's say like in the house together. And you don't want to, you know, to rub shoulders, you know. And let's just be open about that. There are some certain jobs that are not compatible. Like now, let's say if you are a missionary and a politician, seriously, I mean, I don't think that marriage.
There's so many principles that may not agree.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's really important also to find somebody that you know, that you are compatible with.
So that you to add to what my friend is saying, you don't find yourself at loggerheads in most of the times. At least you have something that you can agree on. As the English would put it, it sounds awkward, you know. Yeah.
Something else I will want to address is that make sure it's somebody that you are also mutually connected to. That's also very important, you know. Mutually connected. Make sure it's somebody that you find attractive. We can't say that enough, but it's really important.
I think you understand what we mean by attractive.
Exactly. Make sure it's somebody that you are attractive to, because somebody said, and I don't know how you...
let me cut you at that point and say, we are not saying it's somebody who is beautiful, because beauty is relative.
Is relative.
That one we're using the correct word.
Exactly.
Attractive.
To you.
To you.
Because beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Okay? So somebody said, because if you don't find someone that you're not attracted to, you will find it close to impossible to fight lust in the marriage. Okay? Because I don't know how you respond to this. Somebody said that the beautiful ones are not yet born. Well, I don't know about what they were thinking when they said that, but if you ask me, I'll say there are pretty beautiful ladies out here. And so if let's say that statement is anything to go by, if the beautiful ones are not yet to be born, so then what happens when they are born? You leave your wife and go for the beautiful
and go to look for the beautiful ones.
Okay? So it's really important to find somebody that you are attracted to, and that will help you a lot when it comes to fighting lust in your marriage.
Maybe in addition to that, we also need to tell our guys, especially our men out there who are aspiring, they're aspirants of marriage, is that guys, open your eyes. Open, don't hide yourself with that cocoon of thinking that, you know, there are no good ladies out there, there are no beautiful. There are beautiful ladies out there. You don't want to open your eyes, and perhaps this is where you need God, so that He can open you in a special way, that you get to see that there are good people out here, so that you can engage yourself. So there are very many attractive people here. And if we could open our eyes in that way, we would be able to see that there are very good people out here.
Exactly. Maybe just to bring this to a close, let's talk about the last one. Of course, we've partially dealt about it, but now let's see what the Bible and see what it says. Is this idea of not being equally yoked? The Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians
with unbelievers.
6, exactly. 1 Corinthians 6:14 says, "But be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion has light with darkness?" Now this. There is the best way for us to understand this is to be not equally yoked. Is let's say between a cow and a donkey, you can't yoke these people together, or
these
these
two animals,
right?
cannot.
What will happen if you yoke a cow and a donkey together?
They may not even move.
The yoke will break.
They will break because they will be fighting.
The yoke will break because the cow wants to go this other direction.
And the donkey wants to go
this
the other direction.
So it's really important, especially on this aspect. And this is something most people don't consider.
Yeah,
but it's really
very
important. I promise you it's important. Okay? So the Bible put is very clear, don't be equally yoked
with somebody who is
unbelievers,
who does not believe in what you believe.
Yeah. That's very important. You don't want a marriage whereby the wife goes to church on Saturday and the husband goes to church on Sunday. So the kids are born, where do they go to?
Who do they follow?
So
probably they'll follow the mother because she cooks good food.
Exactly. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Please, if you love what we're doing here, go ahead and share that information so that you can help people out there, because our aim is to help marriages out there, because we've seen, there's so much marriages are really not working out there. We want to step in and see what we can do. So thank you so much for joining us. Please continue subscribing, because we are coming back with amazing content that you're going to love, that's going to help you. And I hope to see you in the next episode.
Bye.